sections of society. So we met journalists, we met youth associations, we met student activists, we met organized labor, we met the Association of Ghana Industries, we met the fintech guys, we met the clergy, the imams, and the National Chief Imam was so generous to even give us his manifesto that he and his Council of Elders had put together, what they want the political parties to do for the Muslim community. All of those were carefully assessed, and we engaged deeply. And that is what has now been put together in a manifesto which clearly has resonated with the people. If you have listened to the Ghanaian people since the launch, you hear young people, you hear the creative arts people, you hear market women. Everybody is saying, look, there is something in this manifesto for me. And to me, that's what excites me. And certainly, I need to commend the event organizers, Stan Dogbe and his team. They always do a fantastic job. Everybody is saying that we were miles apart in terms of the quality, in terms of the organization, in terms of the competence that was at play. And you see, all of these, people look at all of these indicators to see if you really can form a competent government, if you will really get the job done efficiently.
Right.
All of these things, tell a certain message about your organization and how ready you are to govern. So in terms of the processes that led to the putting together of this manifesto, which was chaired by the respected former High Commissioner to the UK, Ambassador Professor Danso, and you had the running mate of the party, Professor Nana Jenopoku-Agyemang, right there in the mix, and then the flag bearer himself, making time to sit in all of these sessions, particularly with the Ghanaian people. So it's been a very good process, and this process works. And that is why, after all of these engagements, the three key things that the Ghanaian people are saying they want the next NDC government to address: jobs, accountability, and then the quality of life of people, prosperity. That is why we call in the manifesto Resetting Ghana. So we are resetting Ghana for jobs, accountability, and prosperity. And if you have paid regard to the data, every data I have seen, take the Afrobarometer, 9 out of 10 Ghanaians say that we are headed in the wrong direction. They want a U-turn. They want a 360 from a new leadership. You take the Corruption Perception Index. We have been stagnant. All the anti-corruption agencies and bodies are saying that, look, we cannot continue this way. The Akufo-Addo government's best performance is actually the worst performance of the NDC era.
So that's why you talk about accountability.
You take the recent Statistical Service, report, and it says that for many days last year, 2023, on the average, 2.5 million Ghanaians went to bed hungry, no food to eat. Statistical Service is telling us that unemployment is at an all-time high, double digits, never seen in our history, 14.7%. That's not the country we left for the MPP. So when we talk about resetting Ghana, it is because of what the people are saying they want and what the data is talking about.
So you're talking about what the people say they want, and you believe that with all the consultation that you did, this is what the people want. The MPP with their manifesto talk about jobs also, but they also talk about a manifesto for the business community and also, for executing a lot of roads. You're talking jobs, you're talking accountability. And you're talking other things. So, of course, there's a difference. The MPP will also say that, well, the people of Ghana say that, they need jobs. Yes, everybody needs jobs. The people of Ghana say that they need this country to move in a different direction. So, what makes the NDC so convinced that this is actually what the people want? Because the NPP will say that they also went through the same processes that you say you went through to put together the manifesto, engaging, other stakeholders, engaging Guta, engaging chiefs, engaging ordinary people, and all of that. So, I mean, how come there's a bit of a difference?
So, if you analyze our manifesto and you listen to the Ghanaian people want a new kind of leadership that is transparent, that is accountable, that eschews corruption. The MPP manifesto is virtually silent on corruption and state capture. And what do you expect? Because they are as guilty as sin, so complicit at the very top. All they had to say in their manifesto is that digitalization will fight corruption. Big joke. So we have far-reaching mechanisms. For example, we are talking about a total overhaul of our Public Procurement Act. If you read the 2023 Auditor General's report on cocoa road contracts, shocking. 87% of the contracts were single source. Can you believe that? 87%. Only 13% were competitive. And the Auditor General further did work in analyzing the prices, the cost of these contracts. And he discovered that the few competitive contracts, the 13%, when compared with the single source contracts were inflated by as much as 3 times, 300%. Can you believe that? So you see how much we are losing. So paying for 10 kilometers of road, you actually could have gotten 30 kilometers of road, 3 times. And what is so sad is that this is a government, when in opposition, their key leaders, Nana Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, all of them put out tweets. They campaigned vigorously all over the place that single sourcing is being abused. Sole sourcing is being abused. At the time, they said it was around hovering between 30 to 40%. Now, we are talking about 87%. And what even makes this so bizarre, so horrendous, and the former president, Mahama, calls it a horror movie. The vice president's brother is at the center. Abraham Bawumia, the director of Resource Access Limited, same day giving 2 single source contracts at the cocoa roads. So, no wonder the MPP manifesto does not address the abuse of single sourcing. Then come to state capture, a matter which has totally shocked this country.
How bad is the situation, from what you said? Because we know that you've been leading the crusade against state capture. There's a promise for a legislation to stop any government appointee or official from buying any state assets. How bad is the situation from where you sit?
It is more than bad. It is awful. It's terrible. Look, we have just come out of a major national campaign to stop a cabinet minister from annexing our SNIT hotels. You remember that? It had to take tremendous effort. And shockingly, only last week, President Akufo-Addo actually had the audacity to tell organized labor and all of us that all of that brouhaha was unnecessary, to quote him verbatim. Can you believe that? No regard for conflict of interest rules. You have a situation where for the first time in this country's history, public officials die, and in their will, we are seeing our forests, we are seeing our Ramsar sites willed to their nephews forever. Now, state capture has become so bad that even diplomatic enclaves are not exempted. The Nigerian High Commission properties, the Bulgarian embassy, to the extent that after I blew the whistle, they had to set up a sole inquirer to look into the scandal. It's become clear that officials at the Lands Commission were complicit in that Bulgarian embassy demolition. It's not me saying that. If you read the Justice Ofuri Atta report. Now, the latest work I have done is that the state capture is now manifesting in lands that are being looted all over the country. Only last week, I put out my latest revelations on the AU village, La Wireless Enclave, cantonments, prime lands. Now, I had to do this because the lands minister addressed the country at a press conference where he said that I should be ignored and that these claims of state capture is just propaganda, that public lands are safe, secure, and intact. Those are his exact words, that they are not selling them.
Yeah.
Look at the facts. On the 31st of August, 2022, the president sold prime lands at the La Wireless AU Village Enclave to Kate Jemfua, MPP Women's Organizer.
You're saying the president sold?
Yes.
How are you saying the president sold?
Read Article 257 of the Constitution. Once it's a public land, Article 257(1) provides, all public lands in Ghana shall be vested in the president on behalf of and in trust for the people of Ghana. So indeed, I can show you some
but there are processes.
I can show you some of the leases here. It's in the name of the president, where you pay regard to the leases. Yeah, it's in the name of the president. Of course, the Lands Commission under Article 258 manages these lands on behalf of the Ghanaian people, but delegated authority. The president directs them, and these lands cannot be sold without the express. You heard even the cabinet directive which they put out a couple of weeks ago, reminding everybody that you can't sell public lands without express permission from the president. They themselves put it out, reminding us of the cabinet directive, which is a constitutional imperative anyway. So the president cannot be extricated from this. You have a serving tourism minister at the time, 30th November 2020. He also bought the lands. Dr. Ernest Yedu Addison, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, 31st August 2022. His two deputies, L.C. Aduawaji, 27 August 2020. Maxwell Pokuafari, 31st August 2022. This is how bad state capture is.
All of them bought state lands.
Yes, just within
prime lands
within the AU village cantonments. Yes. Joseph Boahin Edu, the CEO of Cocoa Board, 30th October 2020. That's when he purchases from the president. Dr. Janet Ampedu Fofie, chairperson, Presidential Emoluments Committee, 29th June 2023. Kwabna Mante Jektenyako, the president's appointee at the Ghana Airport Company Limited Board, 22nd October 2022. His Excellency Ansam Rasford Ajete Sowa, Ghana's High Commissioner to Canada, purchased on the 14th of October 2020. Anna Asari Odro, former MPP Women's Organizer, Holland Chapter, purchased from the President 25th February 2021. Ken Oforiates Enterprise Insurance, 15 December 2023. Georgina Wood, 50 October 2020. Kwesi Etua, the President's Board Chair, appointed to SIC, 14th October 2020. Clear state capture. And you see, when you go through these deeds which I have here, the shocking levels of low pricing, lack of value for money is mind-boggling.
What's the lowest
So
some of the land was sold for?
if you take, for example, this one here, you see for yourself that this one was sold, a plot was sold for 183,752 Ghana cedis. Can you believe that? Cantonments, AU village.
A little over 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Meanwhile, the market value,
Yeah.
I've been asking
I mean,
folks.
it's in millions.
Yes,
Yeah.
of dollars. Actually, the lowest you will get, $600,000 to $700,000. We are talking in excess of 8 million Ghana cedis. So this is a giveaway.
But is it only officials of this government or people affiliated to this government who are buying state lands? Is it only members of this government who are buying
Well,
state
the
lands?
evidence I've seen, all the documents I've intercepted, you said because it's not advertised, there is no transparency. So how will NDC people hear about it? This is what they call the proper Kokofu football. if you are not in the inner circles, even a lot of MPP members don't even get to hear about it. You have to really be in the inner circles. See the names, you know. So that is why, if you read the NDC's manifesto, we are saying that, look, to deal with state capture, let us have a national states asset registry. All our state assets should be published. And I'm excited about it because one of the key fundamental issues that moved a few of my colleagues and I to sponsor that private members bill, the protection of state assets bill, is that we lack an assets register. Will you believe that since the 3rd of February 2022, I have the Hansard here, we have been pursuing the lands minister in parliament to tell us the state of public lands, how many have been sold, who they were sold to, and what is left, if any. It's been more than 2.5 years. The lands minister can tell us. Excuse upon excuse. 3 weeks ago, when we summoned him before the assurances committee, more excuses. Please give us time. The system is not digitalized. There are new regions that have been created. We are still compiling the data. And yet, when it's time to sell, they know where the lands are.
Yesterday,
then
yesterday,
if I can just quickly,
quickly
conclude on this, that in addition to having the state registry published, put together on assets, we are also saying that all politically exposed persons, including government officials, are going to be prohibited, are going to be banned from purchasing state assets. And President Mahama has made that very, very clear that none of his appointees will be allowed, whether it's a state hotel, a state land, a state car, forest, whatever. You are not allowed. And there's going to be legislation to prohibit it. And that really excites me.
And that's what I was coming to. Yesterday, former president, Vice President Baumia, when he met us at the Movenpick Hotel, I think there was a question to that effect. And he said, he will not be against any legislation which is going to check some of these things, prevent politically exposed people from acquiring state assets. It's not something that he's going to be averse to. Would you commend him for having such a stance? Why, you say there is nothing in the MPP's manifesto about dealing with corruption and all of that. But here is the vice president, who is a flag bearer, saying, well, of course, I welcome any legislation which will prevent politically exposed people, from essentially doing state capture.
So you see, we want a social contract. We want something we can hold you by. You don't have that in your manifesto. We don't want afterthoughts. We are dealing with a canker. His boss told this country a few weeks ago that the reason why they couldn't meet all the timelines they set for Agenda 111 is because they found out that they couldn't have lands to build the hospitals on, that a lot of their lands are gone. You heard the president. When he missed all his deadlines, he said they had serious challenges. He came to Parliament during the message on the State of the Nation and explained that it is because of challenges with land. So why should the vice president wait? Because we've put it in our manifesto, because a journalist is now asking and the Ghanaian people are agitating, then you say that you will not be averse. We want a firm social contract contained in your manifesto where you are initiating. Don't just sit there and say, you want to be a leader. You want to be the president of this republic. Who should initiate? So that then you will not be averse. That's not the kind of nonchalant, perfunctory attitude that the Ghanaian people are looking for. Certainly not.
You're still watching State of Affairs here on GHOne television. Let's remind you that MTN Momo is 15 years. And with 15 years of MTN Momo, they have made everything easy when it comes to doing transactions with money. You don't have to walk to the bank or walk outside and do your transactions. You can sit at the comfort of your home and do your transactions thanks to MTN Momo. You can pay your bills. You can do a whole lot of things. And it's been an amazing journey so far. So get ready for some mouth-watering offers as we celebrate Momo at 15. Look out for our market storms and floats near you. Win some mind-blowing prizes. And MTN says, thank you, Ghana, for doing this with us. Download the My Momo app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and just Momo. It's everywhere you go. I will take a short break here. When we return, the conversation continues. This is State of Affairs. My guest is the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is State of Affairs here on GHOne Television, and it's 9:28 p.m. We are live from our studios here at the Platinum Place at Ridge in Accra. And my guest this evening is the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, and we're discussing the NDC's manifesto. And for the past 25 minutes, we have been talking about one of the policy proposals in the NDC's manifesto, which effectively, according to the NDC, will deal with the issue of state capture. And there are quite a few things that we want to continue to get into. So how does the NDC intend reversing some of these land sales if you should come into office? Because if these people have acquired the lands and they've acquired them legitimately with all the proper documentation, is there anything that can be done about it? Apart from stopping anybody else from continuing to acquire more state assets?
Oh, there's a lot that can be done. So under our broad policy proposal, we are calling Operation Recover or Loot Oral. We are serving notice that all of these transactions, which are not above board, they will be subjected to review. Indeed, the former president has put out a statement that there will be an inquiry into all of these land grab, and that the ultimate aim will be repossession. It's happened before in 2009. Many people forget where the foreign ministry is today. That patch of land at Airport Residential Area had been sliced and dissected and sold, largely to cabinet ministers and top members of the judiciary. Professor Mills said that no, looking at the prices, looking at the circumstances of the sale, how it was not done above board, the opacity, and how Ghana did not get value for money, and the plans that we have had historically for that land, the history behind that land. That's where we had the International Students Hostel. The likes of Robert Mugabe and all of these African freedom fighters had once come there to train and be inspired by the Osagifo. Professor Mills said that everybody come back for your money. The meager amount you paid, come for your refund. We are no longer selling. And that is how come we were able to secure that prime airport residential land to build the foreign ministry, where the Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration sits today. So it can be done. Now, don't forget that even beyond the land grab, there are also so many people who have no business keeping our money. It is a tall list. I can give you some. There's a gentleman called Carrie Summers, far away in the United States of America, who is keeping our $6 million.
How?
As part of the National Cathedral scandal. Already $58.1 million of our taxes sunk into the world's most expensive pit. People will answer for that. But to make matters worse, the National Cathedral Secretariat decided that they need a fundraiser to go around the world to raise funds. What happens in the industry, best practice, is that the people raise the funds and then you pay them a commission. It is only in the case of Ghana, under this Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government, that they decided to give Carrie Summers $6 million. He must prepare to refund that money, particularly as he has failed to raise any funds. Number two, you have these shonky sheikhs from Dubai who had absolutely no business being engaged that they were going to get us Sputnik V vaccines. And I'm speaking to a bipartisan parliamentary inquiry report, which has confirmed beyond any reasonable doubt that Ghana lost $2.4 million because Ajima Menu, instead of dealing with the Russians directly, I met the Russian ambassador in Accra, who told me that, I'm shocked. Even neighboring countries are dealing with us. We are connecting them directly to Moscow. And you get a better deal. You are even sure about the efficacy of the vaccine. Why are you guys dealing with some sheikhs far away from Russia. The Russians couldn't believe it. So those shonky, dubious sheikhs who are keeping our $2.4 million, they must prepare to return them. Then you have the guys who came from South Africa under another very scandalous scheme, so ludicrous that they were going to construct sky trains. They are also keeping out $2 million. Then you have the guys who did a Japa in London, claiming, roaming around the streets of London, that they were trying to get us enlisted on the London Stock Exchange, and they were trying to rent offices in London for a Japa. $12 million blown. They have to prepare to refund it. Then you have Pualugu Dam, $11.9 million. Mm-hmm. We were totally scandalized when we went there. We went to the site, no work done.
This is for mobilization.
So there is such a tall list, including David Ajay. And look, what David Ajay has done to this country. For the first time, the institutes of architects had to rise up. They issued a statement. That's why, since this president became president, he and his friend David Ajay, every national project David Ajay should design. National Cathedral, Marine Drive, Trade Fair, Bank of Ghana headquarters, Parliament Chambers, Du Bois Center. Why? And when you look at the inflationary pricing that David Ajay has engaged in, look at the documents I have here. This is from the GIFMES records. Just for interviewing contractors for the National Cathedral project and opening bids, David Ajay was paid 32,070,103 Ghana cedis. Mm-hmm. As if that was not enough. After he had been paid for the design of the National Cathedral, then somebody gets a great idea that we need to attach a restaurant to the design. There's no restaurant where they will be serving manna and other food they say they will import from Jerusalem. I mean, that's what they were doing with our taxes. I mean, it's just a moment of madness. So David Ajay hears that, and he says that for the additional restaurant he's going to add, just restaurant, we have to pay $5.8 million, and that's what was paid him. I have the letter here, signed by Ken Ofori-Atta, 6 July 2021. Resubmission of invoice for payment, National Cathedral of Ghana. Please refer to your letter number CSRDE329/02, dated 27 April 2021, requesting the release of $5,817,769 65 cents to pay consultancy fees in respect of the variation orders for the inclusion of a 300-seater restaurant. $5.8 million. Where does this happen? How much would the restaurant itself, the actual construction?
So what are you going to? You want to recover these monies from David Ajay? If he has done his work, he has done his consultancy, he has done the designs of the National Cathedral and all of that, and these are the fees that he charged, and he's been paid for it. I mean, there was a valid contract that exists. So how are you going to recover that money?
Are you aware that I did an RTI request to the Public Procurement Authority to ask them if this National Cathedral project, it has gone through PPA approval? Because under our PPA laws, they have to approve this. They said no, they have no idea what is going on there. So look, people have questions to answer, the lack of due process. And when it comes to these charges, there are standard fees in Ghana, Reba, in the UK, where he works. We have done the analysis. This kind of outrageous inflationary pricing would not be tolerated in any jurisdiction. So they all have to prepare. We have served notice. Operation Retrieve or Loot is going to catch up with them. And you see, the Ghanaian people, when we have gone round, they say, we are voting for you people because we want accountability. We want justice. All these people all over the place, shonky sheikhs, Americans, Karisames, the Ajayi, the South Africans, SkyTrain, and all these people, they must return our money. Ghana is not just some looting grounds where people just come and take our resources and take flight. They have to be made to account. And look, we have come up with very great proposals in our manifesto that the Ghanaian people want us to deliver. The no-fee stress. Ghanaian people want us to deliver the Women's Development Bank. The Ghanaian people want us to support the 1 million coders, young people who want to go into IT. Ghanaians are excited about the free education for persons with disability. Ghanaians want us to stop double track, to invest in infrastructure so that we can now have a one-track stabilized calendar in our secondary schools. All of these things will require resources, especially as we are promising to abolish a good number of taxes. We are saying that the emissions levy must go, e-levy must go, COVID levy must go. We are the only country after all these years of COVID. We are still burdening the Ghanaian people with COVID levy. And you don't even know what they are doing with the money. We are saying that betting tax on 10% earnings or winnings must go. So you cannot have a situation where you are seeking to cut down expenditure, you are seeking to be very prudent, you are seeking to make a lot of sacrifices. We are saying that no payment of ex gratia. We are saying that we are going to break the gap between Article 71 office holders and other Ghanaian workers. We are going to merge the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission with the Presidential Emoluments Commission so that we will have one independent body taking care of all Ghanaian workers so that this, elite discriminatory system where Article 71 office holders are treated differently. All of these sacrifices that the leadership will make, these reforms, that will lead to substantial cuts in public expenditure. We cannot have a situation where people will be allowed to escape accountability and to get away with all of these resources in their possession, where they had no business, absolutely no business, being granted these huge sums, millions of dollars, which can make a difference. I mean, we are talking about a country. Not too long ago, 19 people died at the Kwalebu Renal Unit because of just 2 million cedis.
So with all of this, of course, you talk about recovering all of these monies and stopping corruption and all of that. And of course, you talk about all the things that you want to do. I guess one question that a lot of people will be asking is how all of these things will be funded, right? I mean, are you going to depend on the monies that you are going to recover to fund what you say you are going to do? Where is the money going to come from? Considering the current state of our economy, considering our current tax regime, considering, like you just mentioned, that you want to cut all of these taxes, considering that we don't yet have access to the capital markets to go and borrow on the Eurobond, and all of that. And also considering that about 81% of our total revenue, especially for the year 2024, is tax revenue. So there's very little that is left for any kind of capital expenditure. So, yeah, lofty promises. Where is the money coming from to do all that?
Great question. So we have reflected deeply on this within the manifesto committees, and we have come to the firm conclusion that if we can address wastage, that is why President Mahama has promised that he will not have any more than 60 ministers. No more than 60. This business of having over 100 ministers.
Is this 60 ministers, 60 ministers and deputy ministers?
Yes, ministers, deputy ministers, no more than 60. Then he has also said that within his first 120 days, he will put together the leanest government in history. He's going to totally rationalize the public sector. There is no reason why this country should have a separate ministry for aviation, for railways, transportation, separate ministry for chieftaincy and for tourism, separate ministry for sanitation and for local government, ministries that were together, that were merged previously. Then you come to our departments and agencies. There's a lot of duplication, scope creeping, some of them don't even know why they exist. There are a number of these agencies which should have been taken off the books long ago. They are just a drain. So We are going to address all of that. Then, another animal in the room called the Office of Government Machinery. We have seen blatant abuse of the Presidential Office Act, where all manner of positions are created overnight. If I read some of these positions to you, you'll be totally bewildered, my brother. We have a presidential staffer called Youth Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs. I mean, what's that? Youth Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs. A country with a foreign ministry, with a vibrant foreign service, with foreign missions in at least 63 countries all over the world. What do we need Youth Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs for? You have somebody whose job is overseer of the National Cathedral. Can you believe that? That pit, abandoned many years ago. You have a diaspora church mobilization officer, somebody who is going around mobilizing. I don't know if he was called by Christ or he's taken over from Paul in the Bible. I don't know who gave him that mandate, who gave him that calling to go around the world to mobilize the churches at our taxpayer expense. You have a Chief Executive Officer of Public Sector Reforms, Policy Associate, Focal Person La Francophonie. Then you have a Technical Director La Francophonie, Director of Special Projects. I don't know what that is. You know, Policy and Coordinator Analyst.
So all of these are presidential staffers. I mean, and you believe that these are necessary portfolios.
Totally needless.
And they need to go. And that will save the country
some
money,
right? Because if you look at the OGM budget, it's in excess of 2 billion cedis.
Yeah.
Office of Government Machinery.
Yeah.
In excess of 2 billion cedis. So we can make a lot of savings from there. So look, if we fight graft, fight corruption, if we are able to address the mess with public procurement, and we save from the inflation of contracts, as the Auditor General discovered, for example, in the Cocoa Rose audit. If you look at even the COVID-19 audit, the 25 billion that we got, the diversions, the massive corruption, look, we can save billions of Ghana cedis. With prudent management, we can deliver on these promises. Okay,
we need to take our second break here, reminding you that you're still watching State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. We'll be right back. Welcome back to State of Affairs here on GHOne TV. And this evening, we're reminding you that Momo is 15 years. And so if you're on MTN Momo, we say thank you for being with us in these last 15 years. And with Momo at 15, we are saying that there are a lot of amazing things that you should be looking out for. So with Momo at 15, look out for, the market floats, look out for the exciting prizes that can be won. All you need to do is download the My Momo app on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. Be a part of the Momo family and let's win some mind-blowing prizes. MTN says, thank you for doing this with us. And just Momo it everywhere you go. We have just about 7 minutes to wrap up on our conversation with the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa on State of Affairs this evening. Yesterday, Honorable, at the Meet the Press, the Vice President was asked a question about the National Cathedral. And he says that he believes that the National Cathedral is an important project. He believes that it will be completed. They have to find ways and means to complete it. Because a lot of government money, taxpayers' money has already, he admits that a lot of taxpayers' money has already gone into it, and so they have to find other ways to make sure that it is completed, probably with a changed design and all of that. You have been on a consistent crusade about the National Cathedral. What do you make of the Vice President's position on that?
Very, very, very bizarre response. Look, the Vice President should first of all be apologizing to the Ghanaian people, to the eminent clergy, and to the Almighty for what he and his boss have done. This grand deception. Didn't they tell us that this project was a personal pledge that the president made to God, that they will not use public resources? That's where we ought to start from. So come clean, apologize to the Ghanaian people that if we had not intercepted these documents, we would have been deceived. And if you read the resignation letters of Bishop Daki Ward-Mills, of Reverend Isud Anaba, of Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. It's because of the grand deception. Secondly, the cost of what we see now cannot be accepted. The Vice President must be telling us how a forensic audit will be conducted so that we can retrieve a lot of the loot that has gone on. That hole there cannot be $58 million. It cannot be. It cannot be. And the Vice President must be telling us how people like Carrie Summers will be made to refund our $6 million. How Reverend Kusi Boateng Kwabena Edu-Jemfi, 2.6 million Ghana cedis. And all the others who just took advantage of this to embark on an unprecedented create, loot, and share. Then thirdly, the Vice President ought to be telling the Ghanaian people what is the analysis, the costs of compensation. Because you see, the focus has been on the pit, $58 million. But what a lot of Ghanaians have not averted their mind to is that beyond the cost of this project, which has escalated from $100 million to $450 million, there are a whole host of people who have to be compensated because of the demolitions that occurred. Are you aware that the Judicial Service of Ghana, the Chief Justice, is looking for $50 million to replace the demolished Judicial Training Institute? Who is going to pay for that? Our taxes? Did we ask the President to demolish the Judicial Training Institute? Judges' bungalows that have been demolished, they are waiting for their compensation. The Malian ambassador, whose residence has been demolished, waiting for his compensation. Then you have Shraj, their bungalows demolished. They are waiting for their replacement. Shraj. You have Scholarship Secretariat. They are waiting for a new Scholarship Secretariat building. As for the Passport Head Office, we managed to find 10 million cedis to build a new one. Then, Comsys IT firm, Waterstone Realty apartment complex, they are already in court demanding compensation of about $5 million. So let's not only focus on the pit and the $58 million spent there, but where are we going to get all of these millions of Ghana cedis to compensate all these people? So it's not just a simple matter of, we'll do some consultation and see if we can redesign. I mean, it's a bigger mess than the Vice President is portraying. And all of these groups of people are waiting for their compensation. There are legal consequences. Some are in court. What happened? Who is responsible for this? Incredible madness. And nobody is taking responsibility. Nobody is being honest with the Ghanaian people to say that, look, we got it totally wrong. This has been such a scam. It was just intended to loot, and we are sorry. These are the people who we are holding responsible. Look, as for this National Cathedral matter, I am clear in my mind that a lot of people will have to face the music. A lot of people. Because look, the implications, the consequences, the cost, the humongous financial burden of compensating all these people, including diplomats, is going to be with us for a very, very long time. And people must not be allowed to get away with this. They must not.
Well, this is where we'll have to draw the curtains down on this evening's edition of State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot more time to get into the issues. There are quite a number of issues that I would have loved to get into, but unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to get into all of those issues. But the Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa is no stranger to this studio. We'll definitely have him here again, and we'll interrogate some of the other issues in the manifesto further. But for now, we'll have to end it here. Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, thank you for joining us in the studio. It's been a pleasure having you. And
always a pleasure.
Do I say keep up with the good work? The people of North Tongu, if they would want to vote for you again, do you believe that they would want to do that?
Oh, definitely. And we have a new target of 94%.
94%?
Yes. We had 90% the last time.
Now you won 94%.
We had the widest victory margin in Ghana. We won 94% now.
The people of North
We are working hard towards it.
Will decide on that. Thank you very much for watching State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. My name is Lantam Papanko. Have a good evening.